So this is going to be a different kind of video. I wanted to talk about some of the announcements we have seen out of the NHL heading into the 2025 NHL Entry Draft. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is kind of uncharted territory for me this year in particular. Because if you've been paying attention to the YouTube channel for the past, 8 years or so, we have been making a bunch of videos about prospects and analysis on these prospects and what they could be and whether or not specific NHL teams should or could target them. I remember back in 2015-16, we were making videos about the Vancouver Canucks and if they could draft Pierre-Luc Dubois or Jesse Puljujarvi or Patrik Laine or something in the 2016 NHL Draft. Lo and behold, they ended up taking the best selection out of the Fantastic Finns that year, and they selected Olli Juolevi, but prospect talk on the channel goes as far back as back then. Then in 2018, we did the Why I Want series, Adam Boqvist, Quinn Hughes, Oliver Wahlstrom, a bunch of guys in that time frame. And for the most part, prospect talk has been consistent throughout the years. Some years we get into it a little bit more than others, depending on if my favorite teams are in the running for the draft lottery. But this season has been different. We haven't been talking much about the prospects, if at all, especially when compared to, let's say, the prime of the Why I Want series. I'd say that maybe that was 2021, where we had 28 episodes on the show, and it was a really big deal, A lot of folks were tuning in to hear about Owen Power and Matty Beniers and Kent Johnson and Luke Hughes and all the other Michigan guys. Dylan Duke is the headliner of the playlist there. So it was a really big deal back in the day. But I feel like this season, I don't know if it's just me or if I'm focusing on teams that are too good for the top prospects, or maybe I'm just realizing that prospect talk isn't really my forte, especially compared to some of the other prospect reporters on YouTube. I don't use footage. I try to avoid that stuff for copyright reasons. I don't have as much time as I have had in the past to actually keep up with the prospects and watch the games. And so for me, the 2025 NHL Draft is a lot more of a blur compared to the other seasons. We had definitive narratives in 2022. Who would be first overall, Slafkovsky or Wright? In 2023, it was the Bedard year, and everybody was excited as to seeing where Mishkov would get drafted. In 2024, Macklin Celebrini was the runaway first overall pick, but nobody knew where Demidov was going to go. Who would even go second overall in 2024? We had no idea. And so 2025, I'm keeping up somewhat. But this year's draft is going to be weird, not just because of my lack of attention towards it, which I don't know if I really want to apologize for it. I don't really feel bad, per se. I just kind of think about it yeah, if you want prospect coverage, you want to hear people talking about prospects, or you want to see the footage, there are so many talented YouTubers on this platform that make deep dive analytical prospect videos that I could not go out there and replicate. Just because it doesn't fit with the style of video that I like to make here, and it doesn't fit into the workflow of the show that we have. I make videos about whatever it is that I want to talk about, and for the longest time, prospect talk was that. It's just this season, for most of the year at least, none of my favorite teams were in the running for top prospect talk. Now, Montreal kind of is, but still. Long intro aside, this show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there and check out the first link in the description to save some money on your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. Let's go out there and read the latest announcement from the NHL from earlier this afternoon, talking about how the 2025 NHL Draft is going to be held in Los Angeles on June 27th and June 28th. Now, you know why this could be seen as weird? It's because normally for the NHL Draft, we know where these events are going to be held maybe a year in advance. The NHL already announced earlier this week that the 2026 All-Star Weekend will be held in the New York area, with the Islanders hosting. So that's just an example of one of the NHL's marketing tactics to get in front, to get in advance, and to get everybody aware, okay, there's going to be this event happening in New York next year for the All-Star break. Last year, when the draft was held in Vegas, we knew that the draft was going to get held in Vegas for at least a year beforehand. And then in Montreal, it was the same thing. And then for the Vancouver draft in 2019, my friends were buying tickets straight out of high school, even though the draft was a year in advance. We knew that the drafts were going to be where they were, but this year's draft, hey, they announced it 4 months before the actual event. Why is that? It's because the draft is different this year. Top prospects will be in attendance, joined by fans and media, while NHL team executives, scouts, and coaches participate in the draft virtually. The previous draft in LA was in 2010. Now, this is really, really weird. We're going to have people, we're going to have fans, we're going to have the players, the families, all there at LA Live's Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, but no NHL teams will be there. There's going to be no quote-unquote draft floor where the teams can go around and talk to each other and get trades done and get a feel as to what other teams are offering for players and potential moves. None of that this year. It's all going to be done virtually, and I do kind of wonder if that will eliminate much of the trade activity that we've come to expect out of these drafts. We expect to see big moves. We expect to see Corey Schneider get traded for the 9th overall pick. We expect to see Milan Lucic get traded. We expect to see JT Miller get traded. We expect to see big names like Kirby Dach get sent around to other teams. We expect these trades on the draft floor on days 1 and days 2, because the NHL GMs are there in person. They can talk, they can get up-to-date status as to what's going on and what the trade market looks like. But now, they're going to be doing all of that via Zoom. And the interesting thing about this is the 2020 draft, which was the first draft that we had done virtually because it was, a pandemic at that time. We didn't see much trade activity in that 2020 draft. For the most part, people were checked out because the draft programming took like 8 hours. It was like 4 hours for the first day and then another 8 for the second day. It was something ridiculous like that. But for the most part, teams didn't really get to video calling or DMing their other GMs trying to get trades done. It was just pretty straightforward. I question if we're going to have a similar dynamic here where, firstly, is the draft going to take as long as it did back when it was virtually done in 2020? And secondly, are we going to see any trade activity at all? Are these GMs going to be able to negotiate with each other? Now, of course, it's nice to see the draftees all there taking the jerseys and taking the photographs and getting selected, but they can't even shake the hands of the GMs that draft them. That's interesting to me. I know that's been kind of the norm as to how other leagues do their drafts, but for the NHL, it's such a tradition, right? The GM announces the name, the player comes down, he gets the jersey, he shakes the hand of the GM, he takes the photographs, and then they do the Getty photo shoot in the back. That's been the norm for these NHL drafts for years, and there was divergence with COVID, but now it's like, okay, it's not COVID, they're just trying something differently. They're not even drafting in a stadium, they're drafting in a theater, and virtually. It's a half-half in-person, half-half online kind of thing. So I do wonder how this draft is going to go down, just in case you needed the scoop here, because I do need the scoop here as well. The number 1 overall pick is potentially going to be D-man Matthew Schaefer of the Erie Otters in the OHL. He is the number 1 likely candidate among 4 players to be in the running for that prestigious honor. Schaefer won't return to the lineup for at least another month while he recovers from a broken collarbone sustained while playing for Team Canada at the 2025 World Juniors, but his absence doesn't change the fact that he's amongst the top prospects for the draft. He'll be challenged for that number 1 spot down the stretch by centers James Hagan of Boston College, Michael Misa of Saginaw, and right wing Porter Martone of Brampton. So I guess those are your top 4, right? Is it a wide-open race for number 1 this year? I know the past 2 years we knew, okay, it's Celebrini, it's Bedard. The years before that, though, we had no idea. Shane Wright's number 1, Matty Beniers number 1, and then in 2020 we knew that Alexis Lafreniere would have been first. Yeah, it's been kind of weird. I'd say 2017 is the only year in that 2010-ish era where we were really, really stuck as to who would be first overall. This year, though, I guess there's a little bit of a wider open race. Right? Unless any prospect guru wants to go out there and let me know in the comments what the situation is like. So let me know how this entire draft season is going. What are your thoughts on the prospect coverage this year on the channel, which has been non-existent, unfortunately. I know a lot of folks do remember my channel for the prospect videos and the Why I Wants. I still do get some people letting me know, hey, you should make more Why I Wants. I'm really happy with that series. But that's the thing, last year, the Why I Wants didn't really do too well, and it's kind of when I recognize that there are a lot of other prospect video people that make much better videos than I do, so why would they watch mine instead of those? And also, it's like I'm taking time out of my day to make videos about Why I Want stuff when I could be talking about something else, getting more views and getting more money. It's business at the end of the day. So I want to be transparent about that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about the 2025 draft being as weird as I think it is going to be. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.